It was supposed to be 10 days. That's what they told me when they processed me into that regional holding facility out in the middle of nowhere in northwest Missouri. Flat land, cold wind, nothing but highway and silence beyond the fences. 10 days, then transport. But when day 10 came, they refused to move me. Not on a Friday, they said. So 10 days quietly became 12. I've never been to prison, but I've done county and regional more times than I care to count. Long enough to understand the rules without anyone explaining them. Keep your circle small. Mind your own business. Don't talk too much. Don't stare. Don't borrow. Don't owe. Survive quietly, and you'll usually be fine. About a week in, I had settled into a routine. Same bunk, same cold mornings, same stale air that never really moved, and the same table at lunch. I only talked to two guys in there, Pastor and Alan. That was my circle. Pastor was an older black man, smooth in the way only someone who has truly lived can be. He told us he used to be a pimp decades ago, then found religion somewhere along the way. He carried himself like he'd seen the worst of the world and decided not to let it rattle him anymore. Calm voice, measured words, nothing rushed. Alan was my bunkie. Younger, suburban background, nerdy in a way that felt out of place in a pod full of hardened faces. Smart, quick with sarcasm, funny as hell. He could turn powdered eggs and mystery meat into a 10-minute comedy routine. He made those days lighter. I was the only white guy sitting with black guys. They were the only black guys sitting with a white guy. Nobody said anything about it, but in a pod, everybody notices everything. Lines are invisible, but they're there. Then one afternoon, he sat down, mid-40s, bright pink skin like he sunburned permanently 20 years ago, red hair, and because fate has a sense of humor, the red jail jumpsuit. We called him Red, not creatively, just accurately. He'd arrived a couple days earlier. Word had already spread that he was a little off. Not aggressive, not loud, just miswired. Like something didn't fully connect when he spoke. He didn't move like the others either. Slightly delayed, slightly disconnected. He sat down at our table without asking. That alone was unusual. In jail, tables aren't officially claimed, but they might as well be. You don't just insert yourself into a group unless invited. We all exchanged a quick look. Nobody told him to move. Red picked at his tray and started complaining about the food, about the thin mats, about the single TV for the entire pod. It wasn't a conversation, it was a review, like he was rating a budget hotel. Then he asked casually, "Y'all ever been to DOC?" Missouri Department of Corrections. Prison. We all shook our heads. No. That's when the tone shifted. Red's eyes lit up just a little. "Man, DOC's way better than this place," he said. "Food's better, more rec time, cable TV, you get more freedom." He was describing prison like it was a resort upgrade, like we were fools for not appreciating the amenities. We were sitting there with plastic trays and watered-down juice, and this man was reminiscing about state prison like it was the Four Seasons in Chicago. It should have been funny. It wasn't. There was no bitterness in his voice, no anger, just nostalgia. Then he leaned back slightly and said, "Yeah, I've done some time." No one asked for details, no one encouraged him, but Red started talking. "In '88, he said, me and my best friend went on a 3-day crack binge." His tone didn't change. It was flat, informational, like he was recalling a camping trip. They were robbing people to fund the binge, Stealing, trading, rinse and repeat. Then they saw a teal Corvette, decided they wanted it, so they followed the owner home. Red said he beat the man to death with a baseball bat. He didn't pause after saying it, didn't look around for reaction, just continued. They were caught 2 days later, in the Corvette, the bat still inside, blood everywhere. His clothes covered in it. He got 25 years. Second-degree murder, first-degree robbery. Then he said, almost casually, got out after 18 months. Not paroled, released. 18 months. The air at our table shifted. Alan wasn't smiling anymore. Pastor's face went still. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, but Red just kept eating. You know that feeling when you're watching something you shouldn't be watching, but you can't look away? That was us. Locked in. Red kept going. In '96, different buddy, different binge. Meth this time. Missouri in the '90s. That's all the context you need. They were playing with a revolver. That's how he phrased it. Playing. He accidentally shot his friend twice in the chest. Accidentally. Twice. The man died. 15-year sentence. Served 6. Still flat. Still calm. Still no visible emotion. Then, 2011. Drunk. With a girlfriend. He said he shot her twice in the thigh to teach her some respect. 10-year sentence. That's why he was heading back. He said it like it was an inconvenience, not an act of violence, not a moral failure, just something that happened. When he finally stopped talking, there was this heavy silence. Around us, the pod kept moving. Trays scraping, the TV droning, people laughing somewhere across the room. But at our table, nothing. I've met bad men before. I've fought guys who are now accused of multiple murders. I've been shot at. I've been jumped. I've been in situations where I knew violence was seconds away. But Red scared me. Not because he threatened us. He didn't. Not because he raised his voice. He didn't. But because there was nothing behind his eyes when he talked about killing people. No pride. No shame. No rage. No guilt. Just emptiness. Most dangerous men have something driving them. Ego, anger, desperation, some kind of fuel. You can read it. You can anticipate it. Red didn't seem driven by anything. Violence, in his stories, wasn't emotional. It was casual, incidental, like bad weather you happen to be standing in. And that's what unsettled me. He wasn't boasting. He wasn't trying to intimidate us. He wasn't even seeking approval. He was reminiscing, like prison had been a chapter, like murder had been an event, like it all existed in the same emotional category as a bad job or a failed relationship. That kind of detachment feels different when you're sitting 3 feet away from it. You start wondering what would trigger him, or if anything even would. If violence, for him, was just another option on the menu. Red is probably free now, or back inside. Hard to say. And that uncertainty lingers. What sticks with me isn't just what he did, it's how easily he said it, how unremarkable it seemed to him. Around the same time, a friend of mine was finishing years in prison on a weed charge. Years. He came out with PTSD from the experience. The same state that locked him up now allows medical marijuana for PTSD patients. They're letting him consume it on parole, for the very thing that sent him away. Meanwhile, Red beat a man to death and walked after 18 months. You try to make that make sense. You can't. But even that isn't what keeps me thinking about that lunch table. It's the look in his eyes, or rather, the lack of one. Sometimes the scariest person in the room isn't the loudest. It isn't the one flexing or threatening or trying to dominate. Sometimes it's the calm one. The one who describes killing someone like he's talking about the weather. The one who reviews prison like a hotel. The one who doesn't seem angry or proud or broken. just empty. And once you see that kind of emptiness up close, you don't really forget it.